Good evening, everybody. Is the mic on?
It's on.
Okay. We're going to start tonight out with a few public hearings. But first, I'd like to explain that the mayor is attending remotely. However, if he feels it's appropriate to have the meeting chaired by subcommittee in person, that person is me, Paul Mayo, and Council President. I'd like to inform everybody I will be voting on agenda items. So we'll start out with a public hearing. First public hearing. Barb, would you take roll?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Barb. The first public hearing concerns an ordinance amending Chapter 14 of the Building Code and Chapter 17 of the Zoning Code of the Municipal Code of the City of Waupaca. Julianne, is this you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
To give a brief explanation, these amendments are moving in tandem with the amendment to the building code, specifying the exclusions from the building code for agricultural outbuildings, specifically in line with the state building code. And it specifies the process for getting a waiver of the building permit and specifies that a waiver is only for those properties that are approved for a commercial agricultural operation, and that approval would come as part of a use application reviewed by our zoning department. The other amendment is to add a definition to an agricultural structure to the zoning chapter. This term appears as a structure in the district standards for the agricultural district, the A1 district of our zoning code, but it currently lacks a definition, so we are adding in this definition to provide clarity to potential applicants in the city as well as to city staff for interpretation of this component of the code.
Thank you. At this time, I'd be looking for testimony in favor of the subject. If you'd like to give testimony in favor of this subject, step to the podium, give your name and address, and limit your testimony to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor? Hearing none, I'd be looking for testimony in opposition to the subject. Okay, hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed at 6:02. We'll move on to the next public hearing concerning an ordinance amending the City of Waupaca Year 2030 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. The same people that were in attendance at the first public hearing are still here, and I think this is Juliana again.
Yes, thank you. This amendment to the Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map includes, it affects 3 parcels within the city. The first is it affects the property at 216 South Franklin Street, which is the location of the Waupaca Curling Club, which is going to shift from parks and conservation to community mixed use in line with the current use on that property. This is in relation to an anticipated application to rezone that property. The next 2 amendments are for 2 parcels that have been added on to city park properties and is thus moving them both to the Parks and Conservation designation on the future land use map. The first one is a parcel on Cooper Street that is added on to Rotary Riverview Park, and the second parcel is next to the River Ridge Natural Area.
Thank you, Juliana. I'd be looking for testimony in favor of the subject. The same rules apply this hearing as last hearing. Any testimony in favor? Okay, any testimony in opposition to the subject? Hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed at 6:04. The next public hearing is a notice, public hearings as special assessments for public improvements in the city of Waupaca. Justin.
Yes, thank you. So this starts on page 15 of the packet all the way to 18. The notice is on 15, followed by the resolution, which will be discussed tonight during the regular meeting. But basically on both of those documents is the descriptions of where those public improvement in the assessment amounts are being applied to, so the addresses, the amounts in those parcels. This is for new sewer that was installed on Elm Street. The sewer is in. We are working on the final quantities and the payment of that for the project and coming to agreement with the contractor on that. So this is preliminary. It's estimated. However, it should be fairly close. The large document following that, and you might have to zoom out, Josh, it's just an overview of the project of where this new sewer is. So first time in, as you know, per our ordinance, is assess those property owners. So from Wesley Street to the west to Highway 49 is where this new sewer line was installed, along with laterals to those adjacent property owners.
Okay, thanks, Justin.
Yep.
This time I'd be looking for testimony in favor of the subject. Same rules apply here as the first two hearings. Any testimony in favor? Any testimony in opposition to the subject? Hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed at 6:06. And we'll move right into the regular council meeting. As usual, we'll start out with a pledge of allegiance. Barbara, would you please read the open meeting statement?
Sure. This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you, Barb. Please take roll.
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan, Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Barb. Would you start the staff introductions, please?
Sure. Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Josh Finch, City Administrator.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Juliana Stowe, Community and Economic Development Director.
Stephanie Reif, Finance Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Pete Krager, Police, Chief of Police. I apologize.
And I think we have Josh Warner in the control room. Laura's online. Yes, sorry, Laura. Next, we have the consent agenda, which consists of a bunch of agenda items that we decide on with one vote. If anybody would have one of these items, would like to move one of these items to the regular agenda, now is the time to make that request. If not, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved by Olson, second by who? Dykstra, to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have the regular agenda. Barb, do you have any additions?
Nope.
Okay, no additions, so I'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Move to approve the regular agenda.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by Veliker, to approve the regular agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item A is non-agenda items, announcements, and correspondence. We have a presentation of a certificate of appreciation to John Bartel for 10 years service to the city, which I have right here. The mayor has to sign it yet. What were we going to do with that? Just give it to Justin? And
Yeah.
if you want to. Mayor will sign it later. No, none. Unless you want to. Okay. Okay. Next is public input. If there's anybody in the audience, staff, or council that would like to give some public input, please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, and it must be on a non-agenda item. Anybody? Okay. Item A3 is community reports. We have a report on the Farmers Market Review through 2025 and the public transit update by Ryan Brown of Waupaca County. Mr. Brown.
Good evening. So first I'll address the farmers market. So in terms of the farmers market, we had another very successful year. I have just a couple things to update you guys on or let you guys know in terms of some of the tail of the tape, so to speak, when it comes to the farmers market. So year over year, we keep growing in terms of the amount of vendors. Currently, we have roughly 22 vendors, and we have like 5 or 6 spots that we use for our dailies. So the daily being that some people that show up, they're seasonal or are every regulars, but they show up just for a one Saturday type of thing. So there has been several Saturdays where we have been completely full, and so that's been a very good news for us in terms of interest in in terms of having enough. Having lots of vendors. In terms of the amount of items that we have available at the farmers market, that's another thing that keeps increasing. To give a feel, right now we have roughly 84 things, at the farmers market that you can buy. And so we try as hard as we possibly can to have it be food focused, because that is the whole point of it, is to have a local source of food. But we also have a lot of artisan. We have bakers. We also have people that make, we have Bob's Birdhouses so that we have a lot of candles and a lot of other things that people make, a lot of bring to it. So we're very happy about that. Couple of the other things in terms of the amount of visitors that we receive per day. So this comes from the Farm to Facts data that we receive every year. And so we receive roughly 1,344 visitors every Saturday. And so when you think of the overall population of the city, that's a fairly significant percentage of the overall population the people that come in for this Saturday. But the one thing, though, that we take into consideration as a board is that actually represents a decrease of almost a little over 600 visitors from last year. And so that's one of the things that we're thinking about as a board in terms of why is that? Why are we receiving fewer people than we did from the year before? The interesting thing, though, is that from our vendors' perspective, they're actually making more money than they did from the previous years. With that, the amount of revenue received by vendors has steadily increased. So on average, $32.6 is spent per visitor at the market. But most importantly, or at least from my perspective, when I look at this, is on average, those same visitors are spending roughly $43 at neighboring businesses. The other thing that's interesting is where these visitors are coming from. So as could be expected, the vast majority come from the city of Waupaca. But the interesting thing is that we actually have 10% of our visitors come from out of state every Saturday. So it's an interesting, issue. I don't know what that means in terms of if it's a matter of the chain bringing people in. We don't know, but that's a very good thing for us in terms of bringing people in, tourism dollars into the city. So in terms of things that we're looking at from the board moving forward is we're looking at increasing our marketing. We want to do a better job of having our social media presence to be better. We want to have more visitors per Saturday. We want to bring that number back up to 2,000 like it was in years previous. We also want to work more with our local businesses and the arts community in terms of cooperating with them and coordinating. We already work in coordination with the library. We want to work more so with our other organizations that we have. Is there any questions on the farmer's market? Okay, I'll move on to public transit. So we are now fully transitioned over, well, I shouldn't say fully transitioned over, but we have transitioned over to the public transportation service. So previously, Waupaca County had a workforce transportation service. And that workforce transportation service, the funding for that ran out. It was a 3-year grant that was funding that project. And so at the end of that funding cycle, we evolved that project into now a public county-wide service. And as you all well know, the contract that you guys had with the existing service in the city has also expired at the end of the year. So now we are now transitioning into providing the service for the city of Waupaca. What I would say is right now we are in that, it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride for us in the first few months here as we try to get our capacity up to where it needs to be. So based on the RFP that we sent out, we were saying that we needed 6 vehicles at a minimum to handle the capacity. And right now we have 5 running, and what we know is that it is not meeting capacity. So we are working very hard on increasing the level of vehicles that we have in our fleet. And so we've been working directly with the city on that in terms of making the vehicles that the city had used previously for this process. So we are hopeful that in the short order, we will have enough vehicles to be able to meet the needs, the existing capacity. But what we are expecting, it's going to be at least a month and a half before we're at that perfect level where we're running as close to where it should be. When we're working with the transit service, which is Phoenix Mobility Rising, their technology platform, which is VIA, when we were working with them on this transition, the typical transition is 2 months. And for us, we had 2 weeks to pull it all together. So it was quite the task to get it all flipped over. So we're working diligently to provide that service for the city. Any questions or comments on the public transit?
Henry.
Ryan, thanks a lot for being here. Appreciate the update. Couple questions. Your funding now is 5311 money.
That's right.
So with the RFP, and I'm kind of maybe throwing you a curveball here a little bit, but there are time requirements on responding to calls for service in the RFP. Is there?
So the RFP required, in terms of the response, in terms of the when we actually arrive to pick you up, there is, yes. So right now there's a 24-hour window that we have in terms of we need 24 hours between when you say you need the ride before we can actually pick you up. But it's a 15-minute prior and 15-minute after is the window that we have for the actual pickup time.
And that's the same within the city as it is outside in the county?
That would be through the transit service, yes.
Okay. So the vehicles you talk about, 6, would be dedicated to the city of Waupaca?
That's not what No.
You said you needed 6 vehicles.
For the transit service, for the overall transit service.
Okay.
And that was a minimum. That's not saying that's what we were actually going to need.
Okay.
We might need to have more than that.
So is it a fair comment to say that our service is not going to be at the level that we've had before in terms of demand response? It's not really demand response. It's, okay, I make a call, I need to give you guys 24 hours notice. So I'm not suggesting that the ability to get rides have gone away. But the ability for one of our residents to call and say, hey, I need to go pick up prescription, they have to call 24 hours ahead for that?
As it stands right now, yes.
But will we transition to something different?
Once we get up to capacity, I mean, that's the thing is that we're working ourselves up to that level of service. Because as I was saying, that the typical transition takes at least 2 months to get everybody trained, to get all the vehicles up and get the whole thing running the way it's supposed to.
Well, I think we're all, at least I'm understanding of that. I mean, you're moving a big thing.
Yep.
And I certainly get that. But in 6 months from now, it is not the same service that we had before.
It will be a different service, but I wouldn't say that it would be a lesser service. I don't know that there's going to be rides that won't be able to be fulfilled.
Yeah, and I think the prioritization of how you were, rolling it out makes a lot of sense, right? The most vulnerable of our people need to be taken care of. But the point is the service was there for others that could call up and expect a ride within, I don't know what the time was before, 20 minutes, it might have been a half hour. So we're saying that requirement in the RFP is not the same? It's different for now.
For now.
Okay. So I think we all have to assume and say, okay, this is a move. It makes sense to maybe have it at the county level, but it isn't the same service yet. And it will likely not be the same level of service that we were giving our citizens before.
I don't know that we're going to be declining rides or there are going to be rides that won't be fulfilled.
Yeah. And I have one last question. And, you guys know this is something I've been monitoring a lot. I call, and I'm wheelchair bound. That 5311 money requires that the driver goes up and potentially gets me at the door and takes me off my porch, down the ramp, and into the vehicle. Is that still happening?
So the service that we're going to have is to help them into the vehicle that we're having, as it stands right now. It's going to be helping them into the vehicle. So we have the vehicles equipped for the wheelchair, and then we're going to be that will help them into the vehicle.
Okay. But it's the rider's responsibility to get to the curb to the vehicle.
The system as it's set up right now is curb to curb.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thanks. Well, appreciate it.
Anybody else? Questions? Okay, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. First of which is ordinance number 17-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 14 Building Code and Chapter 17 Zoning Code of the Municipal Code of the City of Waupaca. This is the first reading. We won't be acting on this tonight. Juliana.
Thank you. You can refer to the section of your packet beginning on page 56. We've provided an explanation of the amendments that I summarized during the beginning of the public hearing this evening. The amendment to Chapter 17 to add a definition to the zoning code will specify the definition for an agricultural structure as it is under the A1 agricultural district. It will add a definition to define it as an accessory structure in order to give clearer definition as opposed to a primary structure in that district. Additionally, it will specify in the building code the process and the scope of the exemption to the waiver for building permit for agricultural structures, for agricultural outbuildings. It also, while state code exempts building permit requirement for those structures for commercial agricultural operations, they would still be required to submit permits for electrical or plumbing work if that was applicable to their specific project. We would also make sure that it is clear that they would still need to go through any zoning applications such as a site plan or a use application depending upon the situation, to make sure that it meets any setback requirements, dimensional standards, and such. And as mentioned, this is the first reading and will be brought at the next meeting in January.
Okay, thanks, Juliana. Next is ordinance number 01-2026, an ordinance to amend the City of Waupaca Year 2030 Comprehensive Plan. And this is also as a first reading. Juliana.
Thank you. As mentioned during the public hearing, this affects 3 parcels in the city. The first one is for the property at 216 South Franklin Street, the Waupaca Curling Club property, which will be transitioning to the community mixed use designation in the future land use map in relation to an anticipated rezone application for that property to allow for a commercial addition to be added onto that building. The next two are both for properties owned by the city that are now a part of our public parks, and ensuring that the future land use map designation of parks and conservation is applied to those will then allow for them to eventually be rezoned to the resource conservation district at a future date.
Thank you. Next is resolution number 1580, final resolution authorizing sanitary sewer extension and levying special assessments against benefited property. Justin.
Thank you. So this starts on page 67 in the packet to 69. This resolution, this is the final. So we looked at the preliminary and had the public hearing in August earlier this year, or excuse me, last year. So this is what would be placed on their tax bill if this assessment goes through with approval tonight. So it's much like the rest that we have looked at. The two properties that are on this resolution are listed there just off of Bailey Street. We extended a sewer line there, so much like Elm Street project, this benefit is being applied to those properties that are listed. One is a vacant lot that, well, it was vacant, but it has a house going up, and one is a current home that is served by a septic tank. The plans, the specifications, all the background information is filed away with the clerk. There's been time for review and comment for the public to comment on this, so this is just the final step. They will get an invoice sent to them, which they have the option to pay that in 30 days, and if not, they then have the option to have it placed on their tax bill and then have it paid out in installments over 8 years with a borrow rate of 2% over our current borrow.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin on this? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1580.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by Peterson, to approve resolution number 1580, final resolution authorizing sanitary sewer extension and levying special assessments against benefited property. Any further discussion? Barb, please call the roll.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next up is resolution number 1589, preliminary resolution declaring intent to levy special assessments under municipal police power pursuant to statute 66.0703. Justin.
Thanks once again. So the subsequent pages, so 70 through 72, this was the resolution that was commented on with the public hearing. This is for Elm Street, and again, you can see the properties that are listed in the table and the estimated amount to be charged or assessed to those properties. So this was a first time in on Elm Street. Again, all the plan specs and background information on the project is filed away. This is the first reading, so there is no action on it, but this will come back to council for a final resolution sometime in the future after a couple months is what we're planning, again, to allow the public to comment on it and review. One thing I did not mention during the public hearing is with the map, the solid green line is the new sewer. There's a lot of different colored lines on there. The solid green from the intersection of Wesley Street to the west is the new sewer, and those adjacent properties are the ones that this is being applied to.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin? All right, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1589.
Move to approve.
Moved by Olson.
I thought he said that was the first reading.
I heard that too, but I
But that's-
just
okay.
asked
That's
these
not
two
what
if
it
it
is.
was.
Yep.
No action.
and it's not. Okay. Yep.
Well,
I don't know.
It's a preliminary resolution, so we do the vote on the ordinance is the first reading, but this is a resolution. It's a preliminary resolution. So we do
Yep.
Okay.
and then then we'll do the final. So it's a little different than the ordinances.
Yeah. All right.
So we're resolving to do this in the future. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently.
Yep, this is,
I'll second it.
Second by
To do the
Dykstra.
work.
Moved by Olson, second by Dykstra to approve of resolution number 1589. Any further discussion? Barb, please call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next is resolution number 5090, adoption of the City of Waupaca Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan 2026 to 2030. Laura.
Thank you. So you can find the resolution on page 73. The following is the comprehensive outdoor rec plan that has been approved by the Parks and Rec Board in December. I'll walk you through it just a little bit. So page 80 through 87 outlines, introduces Waupaca and its parks and the key demographic data. We've gone back and forth a number of times with the people who wrote this, which was the East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. And they verified this data a number of times. So then on page 16, you can find the outline of existing resources in page 89. I'll go with the, not the number of the corp, but the number of the actual agenda. So you can see our existing park amenities and resources. Then on page 31 through 33, you can see a number of maps that outline those amenities. Page 35, I did it again, page 108 to 117. You can see our population statistics within the city. And I would like for you to stop on page 113, if you would. At the bottom of this page, it outlines 2 different tables that share the number of parks we have per resident. Thank you, there we are. So if you look, we are at 349 residents per park, which is actually better than the average and even better than what they typically would recommend. And then on the other side of that same page, our acres per 1,000 residents is way higher than the upper quartile. So we are doing really, really well with the services that we provide for our community members. What's really interesting about Waupaca is, as you know, our population is just over 6,000, but when we have our tourism here, those numbers multiply. And so this may not look as good when you include the tourism, but when you just consider our Wisconsin or Waupaca residents, we're looking really, really good. All right, and then if you move on to page 119 to 129, that shares our community survey results. And I'd like for you to stop on page, well, it's page 50 of the corp. Yep, so right at the bottom there, it shows the results of if we meet expectations, exceed expectations, and you can see that we do a really good job. In fact, when our representative from the East Central Wisconsin Planning Commission, when he shared these results with us, he said they have not seen this good of results in 5 to 10 years in all of the comprehensive plans that they've done. So we ranked really high. I think we had out of 5, I think we had over 4. So he was really impressed by this score. All right, and then if we go on to page 57 or page 130, this starts our goals and recommendations. None of the goals and recommendations are too earth-shattering as far as things that our community members want that we're not trying to already provide. It really does a good job of following our plans that are already in place, including the eco park enhancements, the things that we've done at Lakeman, putting on the pedestrian bridge. And so again, nothing too earth shattering. And then if you go to page 139, that starts a table that really does a good job of summarizing those goals. And that is pretty much the outline of our corp.
Thanks, Laura. Any questions for Laura? Anything? Oh, okay. I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 1590, adoption of the City of Waupaca Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan for 2026 through 2030.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is that Dimitri? Motion by Martin, second by Olson, to approve of resolution number 1590. Any further discussion? Barb, please call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Scott Berchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Next up is the appointment of Dretsky Law Office for Municipal Prosecutor. Josh.
This presentation starts at 1:46. Tonight we do have Attorney Luke Drutsky with us tonight. For those of you that are unaware, Attorney Tom Hart had been our municipal prosecutor off and on. The most previous contract that we did have with him, it expired at the end of the year 2025. In that discussion with him, we had engaged to see if he would be interested in renewing, and he did choose to non-renew with us. So following that, we did pursue a solicitation of a new municipal prosecutor, working with our current firm, Von Briesen, as well as with Attorney Hart to try and find a few options. And based on those conversations, and then upon an interview with myself as well as the chief, we have Attorney Luke Drutsky here tonight to be able to answer any questions as we look for an action on his appointment as a municipal prosecutor.
Any questions for Attorney Drutsky? Where's your office located?
Yeah, I'll just give a brief background.
Oh, okay.
Perfect, okay. So I am located over in Ripon, Wisconsin. I actually work pretty closely with Attorney Steve Sorensen. He officiated my wedding, so take that as you will. So that's how I kind of got at least in touch with the City of Waupaca for at least submitting a proposal. I live there with my wife and now 8-day-old son. He was born last Monday. So I am on very little sleep, but I'm at least glad to be here right now. So not to be rude, but once this is done, I am out of here because I need to get home. My wife is alone for the first time with the baby, so we'll see how that's going. But yeah, I'm located in Ripon. I do general practice. I'm starting to get into the municipal work, specifically municipal prosecution. Not only am I starting, hopefully, with the City of Waupaca tonight, if approved, but I also have been engaged with the City of Berlin, which is my hometown where I grew up.
Thanks. Questions? Anything? Eric?
Not really a question. I just wanted to say congratulations on the job and the baby. So it's awesome.
All right. If there's no questions,
I'll give you one.
oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Colin.
In the past, our representatives have always been local. You're not local. There's a fee associated with his travel time. Have we made an estimate of like what type of additional expenses that fee will add up to over the year?
No, we have not, but I can say that we have done a pretty strong effort to try and find someone within a local, if you will, and we did not receive any proposals back.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? All right. I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Dretsky Law Office for Municipal Prosecutor.
Move to approve.
Who was the motion? Eric? Scott. Moved by Perchatsky, second by Hagan, to approve the appointment of Dretsky Law Officer, Municipal Prosecutor. Any further discussion? Barb, please call the roll.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye. Excuse me. Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Item 7 is a vehicle lease agreement between the city of Waupaca and Waupaca County. Josh, this is you again.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to start off by stating that we are officially looking for a withdrawal of this initial lease. Based on the conversations that we have been having with Wisconsin DOT, we do feel that there is a more appropriate route for us to move forward to more or less handle a transfer of these vehicles with the partnership with Waupaca County. This would be pretty much cutting the step, as ultimately we would be looking to do a transfer eventually as it is. So instead of doing a lease tonight and a transfer of ownership in a month or two, we do feel that we can move forward with that process here within the next week, actually, because due to the transferring process per the DOT and through our local, we are able to do that relatively internally and handle that process rather quickly. So we would be looking to move forward with a few vehicles, specifically some of the newer vehicles, to be able to continue the added service. So
no action tonight.
correct. There's no action. But does anybody have any?
Henry?
So these are our two newest vehicles. So I'm guessing they're less than the 100,000 miles.
One of them is, the other one is not.
Okay, so we can sell them after 100,000 miles. Do we get that money back, or are we just transferring them at no cost? And can the city recoup the sale of that one vehicle over the $100,000
Great question.
or
So-
100,000 miles?
Great question. So the intent at this point is to utilize a fair market value, taking the percentage that we're allotted to by the DOT, and utilizing that percentage to offset potentially any future costs within a share, if there were to be any. It would be detailed that if there isn't any, that there would be a future pullback, as in there would be a future offsetting payment back to us if that were to be the case. We will not know that we will not be able to determine that value until at least probably 6 months into the endeavor. So at least we're trying to be proactive with including language that offers a little bit of a clawback at that point.
How many total vehicles do we have, including these two?
5. We have a 2015 that
Well, just the numbers, 5 or 6 maybe?
Yeah.
5, okay.
6.
Just I want to reiterate this to the council. We used to have all these vehicles in our city available for our service area. We heard from the county they're going to have 6 ultimately to serve the whole county. It's not rocket science to see that we are going to lose a lot of service. I just want to make that point. But what are our plans for the remaining 4 vehicles? Do we have any?
So continuing
Good.
on.
I think we should hold them. Don't sell them yet. Let's see how this endeavor goes with the county.
So the intent was to move forward with a transfer of potentially the 2019, the 2020, and then 2022, and potentially the 2018. So
Okay,
4.
and that's requires a vote of council, correct?
It would not.
To sell? Yes,
No.
it would. We're selling public property. I just want to go on the record. Our local school district got rid of their bus service. Ever get it back? And we've got a fleet of vehicles that if we determine that this move isn't in our best interest, that we've got something to fall back on. And I don't think it's our role to ramp up their operation. Just said my piece.
All right, anybody else have a comment?
And so we're proceeding, allowing staff to make the transfer of these two vehicles tonight. There's no vote of action. They're saying no lease. I think we should act. I make a motion that we enter into this lease agreement as it is presented, because it gives us 6 months to see what's going on with these vehicles and the service. And not just have staff transfer them. I don't know that that's in their authority to do that. We need a council approval to purchase them and to have the local match requirement to purchase them. So I would make a motion to enter into the leases as presented by the staff this evening.
Could you clarify that for me, please, as to what the motion is actually doing and what the ramifications of the motion if it doesn't happen? Could you please reiterate that for me, please?
And just to clarify, so I make sure I fully understand, you're asking about the original or the motion that he is presenting?
The motion he's presenting.
Correct. Okay.
He's making a motion on item 7 as it originally put on the agenda. Correct, Henry?
That's right.
Okay.
Paul, yes.
Okay. So that would be pretty much entering into a short-term lease that will sustain liability on the city for probably about 3 months. So what that would be doing is entering into a short-term agreement with the county for no fee for them to be able to rent the vehicles, lease the vehicles for a short term for pretty much 3 months. And then at that point, we would then come back for re-review of that conversation to see where things are at. But just for clarity, we still would then be sustaining insurance on it and any liability. There is that factor that we have to take into consideration. I do want to highlight that in discussions with legal counsel, they have also recommended that the cleanest cut is to transfer if they're going to be utilized.
Josh, do we even have a lease at this point?
We do. The intent was, again, to not. We do have one that is in the attorney's inbox, so we would be able to get one. We do have one. It's just the intent was to move forward to this route as a cleaner, less liability on the city.
And that's what.
Hey, can I weigh in here? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Mayor.
Probably need a second to discuss
Thank you.
anything.
All right. So first of all, I mean, Henry's within his rights to, if there's something on the agenda and he wants to make a motion and he gets a second, you certainly can vote on that, but I haven't heard a second yet. And so parliamentary would say that motion has died because there's continued discussion. But that motion can be brought up again too. But I do want to make a point that I think, Henry, you're misunderstanding the transfer of those vehicles to the Waupaca County. There'll be a memorandum of understanding that comes back for city council to approve at a future time. So I as Josh said, we're not expecting to get paid right now for that, but we're putting money basically on a savings account if we ever need to use that leverage to offset any fees that are going to be in the future. I appreciate your comments, Henry. I think you're being Nelly negative here, and you're not giving this the opportunity to be successful. And this is getting out that you are being that way. And I would be careful because we're giving the county every opportunity to be successful here. And don't forget that we did not apply for the 5311 monies this year. So the city of Waupaca is no longer in the taxi service. We would have to apply again, and that's only on an annual, those monies have gone to the county. So the chances of the county and the city both getting those monies is pretty minimal. And don't forget also that what's happening here is we're expanding, or Waupaca County is expanding taxi service. So it's not just in the city of Waupaca anymore, it's throughout the whole county. I think you should give it a chance, but going back to Henry's motion here, you need to get back on track here. If there's a motion, you need a second, and let's move on here.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate that explanation. I'm trying not to be a negative now. Our job is to try to make the best decisions possible, and I'm just bringing some information.
Hold on a
forward.
second. Hold on. Now you're ignoring exactly what I just said. You have a motion on the floor. Have we heard a second yet? Sorry, Paul, Mayo, but
It's okay.
let's get back on task here.
Any second to Henry's motion?
Point of order. Could you repeat what the motion is? Because I really don't understand what we're trying to vote on.
The motion is on item 7. Henry wants to move that we enter into a lease agreement with the county based on the lease that's at the attorney's office right now, which the attorney is now not recommending.
So
So
I would be confused. So the lease document's not even in here.
Correct.
So I would draw my motion. I make a motion that council takes, or staff takes no action on this matter until we get a written lease and we have something a little more concrete.
second.
Okay, motion by Veliker, second by Dykstra, that staff take no action with regards to the vehicles until we get a lease agreement that spells out things exactly. Is that
Yeah, or
correct?
the alternative to just transfer them, to understand
Okay,
that alternative.
all right. Everybody understand the motion? Any further discussion?
I'd still like to go back to what Paul asked. What's the difference? I mean, a little more clarity.
Well, there's no lease that is in the packet that has been presented to us. There is apparently a rough draft of a lease in the attorney's in basket.
Then why are we seeing this?
Well, we're not seeing it. Josh is recommending no action on it and to follow the attorney's recommendation.
Can I make a point of
Sure.
So this conversation started on Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon into Friday, this was presented with the attorney. Following that, Friday afternoon, we started ensuing the conversation about a transfer versus the lease option. Yesterday, in the communication, the lease option was relatively pulled off the table with the intent of being the better, most practical, and less liable for this city. And that is how we got to this point of looking to withdraw the motion on the lease agreement and focusing on a transfer.
Then at the beginning of the meeting, we should have known that.
Paul.
One of the things you said, Henry, is comparing the amount of vehicles in the city to what they're going to be serving the entire county with, and you're equating that to less service. One of the things, Ryan was his name?
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan said is that, yes, they have, I'm sorry.
You can't see him behind the podium.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That he was looking to expand to what is going to be necessary for the task at hand. So I think it would really behoove them if we were able to transfer these vehicles to them, and then they can see just exactly what they need to get the service to where it's up to where it should be. So,
Well, that's why I think the lease option's the best way to go, Paul. Because in 6 months, we got to come back. We can assess where they're at with their ramping up. We can assess how they're doing with personnel because they've got to hire people. And I think it's just a prudent way. And I'm confused because when we owned the cabs, we leased them to Brown, and they had all the liability on the cabs. They had to insure them. That was all part of the lease. So the only liability we have is we get back a vehicle that has more miles on it. We're not on the hook for any insurances or any liability. I'm not sure about that one. But that's why I think we need to maybe dig a little deeper in understanding how this transaction goes. I want the county to be successful, but they don't know at this point how many vehicles they need for the whole county. Do we, Ryan?
No, what we do know right now is that we have an immediate need right now. And so that's why we're trying to get vehicles in the fleet and available and on the road as fast as we possibly can. And specifically, the need that we need right now is wheelchair accessibility. And that's why we are looking at these vehicles from the city.
How many vehicles do you guys have right now? You currently have 6?
5.
5. So these would be 2 more to your fleet.
That's right.
Okay. So why are we not just selling them directly to them if they need them right now?
That is what that's what we're trying to do. So this is the informational. The transfer is the sale. So that is what we are trying to do.
Rather than leasing them.
Correct. Right. That is why at the beginning it was informed. We're looking to withdraw on the lease aspect and looking to do the transfer/sale.
See, I think what hampers it is the grant money you get for them, and they have rules on how you dispose of the vehicles. And I think that's the hurdle you guys are trying to get over a little bit with the transfer.
Well, and this is a very, I can't stress this enough. This is a very, very unique thing. There have been probably a good dozen calls with the DOT over the last week and a half, within the DOT, Phoenix, VIA, within the last 2 weeks. There has been a lot going into this to get to this point, to trying to find the best route.
Just to shed some light on this, there's only one vehicle that falls under that rule that you're talking about currently.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the other ones, I mean, we're looking at 163,000 miles, 163,000 miles, 186,000 miles, 246,000 miles. The odometer reads far exceed that 100,000 mile. So it's one vehicle that would really be under that 5311 funding that you're talking about. And we have been working with the DOT. What you guys don't all know is, like, we've been working through Christmas, New Year's, like a lot of hours have gone into this. So we are definitely doing our due diligence.
Dimitri.
So we're looking to sell these vehicles, and are we looking to sell them for less than market value, or Kelly's Blue Book value, or
Fair market value as the so we still need to keep it within a certain range. So in the discussions with the DOT, even this afternoon, the intent is to keep it at fair market value for the ones outside of that range. So anything outside of that 2022. The 2022, we would be subject to the DOT standard, which would be 20% of the fair market value.
so we're selling it for 20% of its value on the 2022? Well, that doesn't strike me as a very good deal for us. But the 2020 we can sell for actual value. Well, why don't we sell them the one for actual value and lease the other one until such time as we can sell it for full value?
I'm a little confused too. Why would the newer vehicles sell for 20% of market value?
There's a formula that the DOT has us follow, and it's not just 20%. There's a $5,000 threshold, then a $10,000 threshold. So it's pretty
very
convoluted. So I won't lay it all out for you guys, but there's a percentage that we got for the 5311 funds for the vehicles, and we had to pay the other percent. So it was an 80-20 match. And so if we sell them and they're past this useful life benchmark, which is either 4 years of their manufactured date or 100,000 miles, then we go back to this rule of fair market value. They can be sold through surplus sales, which is what we do with public works vehicles that we purchase through capital. We don't bring that to council. Okay. We just put them in the surplus sale. So to answer that question as well, we don't do that currently. That's not in our policy. We send them to surplus sales.
So we get 20% of its value because we only paid 20% of the new
Correct.
cost for the
Yes.
vehicle. Okay, I
And
got it.
there's DOT rules and regulations that we obviously have to follow for these transfer sales that we are definitely following. so.
Gotcha.
But if we hold on to it for another year or two, we can sell it for 100%
100% of the fair market
of the
value.
fair market value.
If, however, if the fair market value is over $10,000, then it falls back into that 20% threshold. So if the value is under 10,000, then we're clear. If it's over 10,000, we're under the DOT guidelines of the sale.
Okay.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
I don't have a very simple way of explaining it, but I understand it.
What is the fair market value for these vehicles?
We're not sure yet.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that far.
I'd like to call for a motion
Well,
to.
there's a
or
motion, there's a motion and a second on the floor.
Or not a motion, but I'd like to call a question and vote on it.
Oh.
I guess is my point here,
Okay.
to move on.
You need to vote on calling the question.
Oh.
I don't know if we have to do that, but there's
Well-
some kind of procedure about, we have a motion on the floor in a
Okay.
second.
Scott would like
Can
to
I
call-
save everybody a chance here? I would like to withdraw my motion. And based on what we just had this discussion, is that Parliament, can I do that? But the second person
Second,
has
yes.
to withdraw as well.
That was Colin, yeah.
But I don't know if that precedes what Scott's doing.
I just want to move along here, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know everybody wants to move along on this, you know? We've been doing taxi for 35 years, and I know staff wants out of this, for sure, because it's a lot of work. And I appreciate the county coming forward, but, you know, I want them to be successful. If they need 2 vehicles, sell them to them, I guess. But the other 4 vehicles, I'm not sure what we do with them. Sounds like we're going to transfer them.
I don't know.
So, hey, again, going back to parliamentary rules here now, Henry has, well, first of all, Scott asked to call the question, and then Henry interrupted it with withdrawing. So I guess that you would have to allow the vote on the call for the question first. And since Henry's planning on withdrawing his motion, you probably know the answer to calling the question. And then you would have to get, once Henry would withdraw, then Colin would also have to withdraw. So this discussion shouldn't be happening once you have somebody that called the question. So.
Okay. So Scott called the question. We have to have a motion and a second to call the question?
Yes. And I'll second the motion to call the question.
Who moved it?
Scott.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right. All right, motion by Perchatsky, second by Hagan to call the question. We should probably do a roll call vote. Or
Can you restate, after all this time, what we're voting on this motion?
We're just we're just voting on to call a question right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, this
And
is
it's
just a call. All
Right.
right.
Non-discussable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against, say no. All right. Motion carries. We're going to call the question. So now a roll call vote, please, Barb. On Henry's, Henry wanted to withdraw his motion.
Yeah, my original motion.
Okay.
And the original
But-
motion was not to enter into.
But
Yeah,
Scott,
well, you can't now. You have to vote on it now.
yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
So I guess restate what them, if anybody
Tell me
got
if I'm wrong,
specific
Henry.
words. What?
Henry moved to have staff do nothing with regards to selling the vehicles until we get an actual detailed finalized lease agreement from our attorney. Is that correct, Henry?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we're voting on. All right. Any further discussion? Yes, Henry moved and Dykstra seconded. And we're, we'll-
Staff to do nothing with the vehicles until we get approval from you.
until we get a lease from the attorney.
Sorry. Okay. Ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Dimitri Martin,
No.
Paul Hagan,
No.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
No.
Scott Perchatsky,
No.
Paul Mayo,
No.
Dave Peterson,
No.
Eric Olson,
No.
Corey Nagel.
No.
2 ayes, 8 noes. Motion fails.
Okay. All right, so we're at,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I have a question. Can it be explained to council what the staff is going to be doing? They're going to do, if I'm understanding right, they're going to do the transfer of the 2 vehicles
Correct.
based
So,
on the attorney's
Recommendation.
input.
Yep.
Okay.
would you like me to elaborate a little bit more to try and make sure it's clear?
Sure.
So, at this point, tomorrow, we will be working with the a memorandum of understanding to handle a transfer, which is no different than has been facilitated in the past between the county to the city for previous vehicles. In this case, it is us to them as us the donor, them the recipient. In the past, we were the recipient, they were the donor. In this regard, after this MOU is submitted from the attorney to the county for their approval, they will send it back to us. We will sign it, and from there, we will be able to take the vehicles and have them, the lien that the DOT has, it will be released. Following that, the county, will be able to take ownership with the title and the registration, and will be able to begin moving forward with the facilitation of implementing it within the fleet with Phoenix and Via.
Thank you.
The hope is that through this process, instead of having to go through several weeks, hopefully by early next week, they are able to get this process facilitated, and by early next week, it is in their fleet and getting prepped by early to mid next week.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody straight on that? Good. I guess we move on then.
That was somewhat anticlimactic.
No, sorry, Paul.
Imagine that debate in a.
Yeah. All right, item 8 is license report number 1743, dance hall licenses. Anything complicated about that?
Nope.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve license report number 1743.
Move to approve license report 1743.
Second.
Moved by Veliker, second by Dykstra to approve license report number 1743. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 9 is license report number 1744, operators or bartender licenses. There's only one, I think. Okay. Motion and a second, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by Peterson to approve license report number 1744. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. No issue or project discussion. Next is communication and recommendations of the mayor. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thanks, Paul. Just a couple of quick things. City Planning Commission members, don't forget that there is a meeting tomorrow night at 5:15. So make sure that you're in attendance for that. And also, I know that we hired Russ Van Gumpel, and I know that there's at least one person out there that has not returned the survey yet. So make sure that you get that back to him. He plans on making a presentation at the first meeting in February, which would be Tuesday, February 3rd. Otherwise, make sure you guys drive home safe tonight.
Thanks, Mayor. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Hagan, second by Elson, until we adjourn, that we adjourn until next regular council meeting on Tuesday, January 20th, subject to call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:10. Thank you all.